Hello, welcome to History Makers Training, June 2018. Welcome to the second, is it the second or the third? Second day. No, second day, yes, second section, right? Wow. Yeah, no, section 3, yeah, thank you. Welcome to section 3 of History Makers Training. My name is Babushia and we're about to start here. So let's put our hands together and welcome our guest. His name is Dr. Success. Woo!
Contribution from many of us based on what we have learned so far. What do you think is the most striking thing for you, especially from this afternoon session where we left off? Does anybody want to share with us? What the most? Please, I might have to stand sometimes. I guess being on this seat, maybe when I'm 51 like DSL, I need a seat like this. So who wants to share with us maybe something very striking from this afternoon session on worldview or this paganistic worldview, the balanced worldview, the Christian worldview? You want to share something very striking? I want us to be very interactive. Let's make it dynamic, please. If nobody's going to volunteer, then I have to call somebody, perhaps. No big deal. Oh, sure. So I was just saying, like, anybody who wants to share with us something very striking from this afternoon session with DSA. So something that was very special that, you know, was most striking for you.
Okay. Yes. Do we need to use the mic?
Yes, you will use the microphone. Babu, share, please, the second microphone. The other microphone.
Okay.
Yes.
For me, what's really striking
Yes.
is that Africa would continue to remain a dark continent if the issue of the worldview is not changed.
Okay.
You know, and for me, that's a very scary thing. It's really serious because I live in Nigeria, and I don't intend to leave Nigeria. I'm an African, and I'll be in Africa. So for me, you know, it's so key that this is an issue that needs to be addressed speedily.
So thank you so much. So the state of Africa will always remain like that unless we change our worldview. And of course, right now we understand that the people who are set or who are going to change that worldview for Africa are the people that are seated here. I don't know if you understand. So sometimes it's forced on a certain people in every generation. There's always a responsibility on a certain people in every generation to bear the burden of that generation. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So, like, for example, a lot of people, when you're listening to that teaching on worldview, changing the worldview, the mindset, and all that, you know, you'll probably be wondering that, how does that concern me? 1 billion people, 1.1 billion people in the whole of Africa. I'm just imagine one person you get. So, but you have to understand one thing, that it falls on you in this generation to bear the burden of your generation. Wow. So in every generation, there's always that set of people. There's always that category of people. It's not always, in fact, perhaps it's always the 0.0001% of every generation that have to bear the burden of that generation. So we are the chosen ones. And that is why you are here this afternoon. I don't know if I'm coming across. Am I making any militaries? So it is a burden. It is a responsibility. And this is why I want to appreciate you for yielding to this call, for responding to this call. Because we are not the first people to hear the call. There were a lot of people who had the call before us, but they didn't respond to it. But that you heard the call and that you have responded to it, that in my lifetime, look at the way DSS says it, look at that confidence. Look at that. It says it is an indictment for me to die and for Africa to be as it is. So I don't know what your own statement, I don't know if you feel like that. I don't know if you have had that same call, that same burden, that it is an indictment. It is an insult for me to die. And I must appreciate what Ms. Choma said, that I'm African and I'm not going to leave Africa. I'm going to be here because I'm a change maker. I'm a change agent. And that is what this old concept of HMT is all about. That we are the burden bearers. We bear the burden. We bear the weight of our generation on our shoulders. And we go back wherever we are located, wherever we are, to carry the burden of the people, to be change agents, to carry whatever country. So when you enter into a country or you enter into a location, you understand that the weight and the responsibility and the government of this nation is upon where? Is on my shoulders. Many people will want to shy away from it. So this afternoon, this seminar we're going to have this afternoon is just going to be based on it. What is it that you can do to create that lasting change, to create that lasting, to be an influence maker in your society? You know, wherever you are, wherever you're located, it doesn't matter. Either it is in a school, in a family, in a government, wherever it is, we've discovered that it doesn't matter. Once we have the keys, once we have the secret, at any level, any of us can create a lasting change. So is it going to be interesting? You know, the Bible says that blessed are your ears because they do what? They hear these things. Blessed are your eyes because they do what? They see these things. So we are the blessed ones. We are the chosen ones. And we are the ones that respond to this call of God. So this afternoon, we want to look at something that is going to be very, very critical, that is going to help us a lot. Let us go to the slides and see what we're going to learn this afternoon. So this afternoon, we want to learn the science of creativity through the heart of questioning. The science of creativity through the heart of questioning. If you are going to be a change maker, if you are going to influence your nation, if you are going to be an influence maker, if you are going to change whatever thing that you are set out to change, you must learn the science of creativity. Because with creativity, you can change everything. And how does creativity come? It comes through what? The heart of questioning. So with everything that we have learning, from the worldview, what is it that I can do? With the worldview that has changed, with your different understanding of life, you should begin to bet forth creativity. You should begin to bet forth ideas. You should begin, what is it that will make a man write more than 300 books and says, I'm set out to write more than 1,000 books in my lifetime? And every single day, have you noticed that every attempt is always different? There's always something new. And every time there's always talking, I'm always trying to calculate in my mind. When is did that? Okay, we are going to get to a point and it will be like, I've finished, I've exhausted everything. Now let us go back to last year's message, or the one we did 10 years ago. And there's always something new. And the art of betting something new every day is called what? Creativity. That every book is always different. That every song is always different. That every message is always different. Every impact is always different. Every discussion is always different. It's through this art and science of creativity. Please don't be so bothered about the whole concept of science, art, and I hope we are not scared about, science, art, and all this stuff. It's just simple things. We just want to study about these things. That's what it means. Do we get it? So can we begin? Or anybody wants to share impression of this topic? Anybody? It's going to be very interesting and hot this afternoon. You want to share something?
No, I just say, just to buttress what she said.
Okay,
initially.
okay. Please, the microphone.
talking about a worldview, I would say two things. Maybe the second one is more of a question.
Okay.
The first one, we know that nature abhors vacuum.
Okay.
Now, everyone seated here, we already have a worldview, whether we like it or not. And most of us are coming from the worldview that has actually hindered us and limited us.
Okay.
We are coming from the same worldview that we are hoping to change.
Mm.
And like DSA said, just hearing the information is not just enough, because a worldview is not formed in a day.
Yes.
It's something that has become like, that has become part of you. So it will take time. So it's just something for us to know that before we rush out there
Yes.
and say you want to go and change a particular worldview, you need to be grounded in the worldview which you are going to present
Yes.
to
Yes.
them. So, and it's going to take a whole lot of work. And
Yes.
that's why, like I said, we shouldn't be shallow-minded. Just hear something, we think we know it, and we begin to rush with it.
Okay.
And only for us to hit an obstacle and questions begin to come and you begin to wobble. You can't even back your own worldview with actual facts
Yes.
and evidences.
Yes.
Then the second one is just like more of a question, because we've heard that the problem of Africa, the problem of Nigeria is the value system.
Yes.
And today we are hearing that the root cause is the worldview. So I want to ask, is it like, which comes first? Is it the value system that forms the worldview?
Okay.
Or is it the worldview that forms the
forms the
value
value
system?
system.
So we need
Yes.
like a kind of balance so that we know
Okay,
exactly.
thank you so much. I think it's one of the questions that DSA definitely I know is going to address. And but you remember that diagram it showed to us when it showed the what, the how, and the why. You know, the why is always the anchor. It's always what is at the bedrock.
Yes.
So, for example, if I do something, let's say you place your phone on the seat, or before you come back, I've taken it. I stole your phone. You know, that is the what. That is the action. But you have to understand that that action came from where? My value system. There is a value system that is responsible, right? And then based on that, my value system actually comes from my understanding. You know, understanding is actually what bets everything. So your understanding of life is why you respond, is why you do what you do, is what, you know, is your concept of good and bad. Let me just put it that way. So you understand this is why this is good and this is why this is bad. This is why I should do this and this is why I shouldn't do it. So that's my understanding of that. So, and carefully we look at it also, we understand that everything is interwoven. Because your understanding of life, we bet for your principles, your philosophy. There's always says one thing, we're going to probably look at it also, that everything about your life is just the philosophy that you have believed. That is your deep-seated philosophy. So if you have superstitions in your mind, everything about your life, the product of your life is always going to be like that. And if you believe in the principle of cause and effect, then you know that everything is like that. For example, when we talk about creativity, some people believe that they can never be creative. You know, they believe that creativity, that geniuses are born, you know, and that they are never going to be another Thomas Edison or the Isaac Newtons, and, you know, those are super genius guys. Those are, but we are going to realize this afternoon that in every one of us is an Isaac Newton, is a Thomas Edison. Every one of us is born with immeasurable amounts of creativity. How do you measure the creativity in a fish that is in a jar of water in the pool? How do you measure that? Can you limit the creativity? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It's limitless, isn't it? That is the same way every one of us was created. Every one of us was created and we were born to be creative. There's nobody on earth, no matter where you were born, how you were born, in what place you were born, in what family you were born, in what country you were born, every one of us was born with unlimited amount of creativity. If this is one of the greatest things you're going to take away from this seminar, please note it. That every one of us, I've always heard people say, oh, I don't like mathematics has always been my problem, or physics has always been my problem, oh, I just don't like, I don't like, example. Give me examples of what you don't like. Huh? History. I don't like dates. I don't like numbers. Those are just self-confessed limitations. I don't know if you understand. They are just self-confessed limitations. You know, they are just the things that, you know, you have believed, and those are the things you have imposed those things on your own self. Do you get? So if you are not creative with numbers, then that means you have unlimited creativity, perhaps with letters, or perhaps with, you know, some other things. I don't know if you get it. So we've not even gotten to the heart of the message. let's start already. So is this working, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So I hope I don't destroy it. Okay, thank you. I don't have to. Is on? Oh. Thank you. So, are we ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first, let me ask us that how many people here have their books they're working on? You have a book, or you have a song, or you have an invention. How many people? Let me see. Indicate, please. I wish I had it. I really want to listen to each of us, because this is very, very, very important, and this is what we are talking about. Because you are going to learn why all of these things are important to your life and to your destiny. A book, an invention, a song, an invention, a research, a project, you know, a major way you are contributing to this world. And that's what we're going to talk about. Oh my goodness.
No, place where the USB is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, you can spend, my first point says that you can spend an entire lifetime to provide solution to only one question of life. Every significant person that we know in history today is significant, or we remember them because they were able to provide solution to a question of life. For example, I said Nelson Mandela. Whenever we mention the name Nelson Mandela, what do we remember? Apartheid, right? We remember the man who put an end to apartheid. Whenever we think of, let's say, Thomas Edison, what do we remember? The light bulb, right? He provided answer to the question of darkness, isn't it? Right? Whenever we remember the name, let's say Neil Armstrong, for example, Armstrong, what do we remember? The moon, right? Okay. Whenever we remember the name, who again? Steve Jobs. What do we remember? The Apple, right? iPad, right? Okay, great. So usually, all of these people are significant. Why? Because through creativity, they were able to provide solution to a question of life. So sometimes, men lived just for what purpose? For a question of life. They were able to bring solution. So what majorly brings a man to prominence and to significance is simply because of what? Why? He's able to bring what? Solution. Why? To a question of life, right? I read somewhere, I don't know how true it is, that the day Thomas Edison died, every light bulb in the world was put off in honor of one man. Why? Because he brought solution to the question of darkness. When you mention some of these Nobel Prize winners, what do we remember about them? Right? They were able to bring solution to what? To a question of life. And that's why they are given the Nobel Prize, isn't it? Either for peace, or for science, or for literature, or whatever thing. What question of life will you bring an answer to? And I'm going to tell you why it is very, very important for every one of us to bring answers to a question of life. Do we really want to quickly get this? Why it is very, very urgent and important for every one of us to bring solution? Okay, interesting. DS always tell us this way. He says something like, how many people remember their granddad? You know your granddad. You know him. Granddad. You know him, right? Okay, what of your great-granddad? That is just 4 generations ago, right? 3 or 4? 3 generations ago. So, do you know your great-granddad? Do you know what he looked like? his mind, his thoughts, his philosophy, his outlook on life? Nothing. What of your great-great-granddad? Just 4 generations, just four generations ago. Come on, maybe we are being bad children. Don't you think so? Maybe we are being, maybe you and I are really bad children that we don't even know who our some of us never even bothered who our granddad was. You didn't know them. So you mean, as precious as those people were, because we are their prodigy. No product. So that means they are just gone like that and they are forgotten. Is that what we are saying?
Yeah.
Really?
Of course. Look at the product of your
I don't really want to believe what we are saying.
I don't know if he did something significant, I would have known him.
But your mom brought him out there.
I really want to think that we are all just being wicked, I think. That just 3 generations and the men are forgotten like that. We don't even want to remember that I came from somebody. They are the ones. Nobody ever sat down to draw the family tree and said, this is how my great-granddad looked like, and he was a great man. So they are just, immediately a man is placed in that box and placed in the ground like that. The only thing that will remain about your life will not be the houses you build. Do you know that it will be an embarrassment for me, no matter how big my dad's house is, to live in my father's house? And do you know that there are people who struggle through their life to build a house, and they will say it's for my children? Right? But do you know that it will be an embarrassment? I've never in my life for one day thought that I'm going to leave my father's house. Far be it, right? There are people who live all their life trying to buy cars. How many people hope to inherit their father's car? All those, what do you call them? Toyota 504, what do you call this? 404 cars. How many people want to inherit all of those cars? Right? Do you care whether the kind of house that your great-granddad built? Who cares? So you mean that immediately a man is placed in that box and put in the ground, and the soil, and what do you call it? Soil is put on him? Everything about him is forgotten. The only thing that will be remembered is what question of life you brought an answer to. The reason why we continue to talk about Nelson Mandela 100 years, 200 years from now is because of what? The question of life. We talk about apartheid, we talk about Nelson Mandela, right? We talk about Martin Luther King, we talk about what? The emancipation of the black race, right? I don't know if you understand. So therefore, what to live for, right, is not children, perhaps. If I'm treading on strange ground, please let me know, right? Because if you live for children, eventually those children are even going to forget you. Just as we are forgotten, right? So whatever that we have done to others will do unto us. So if we live for those children eventually, they are going to forget 4 generations from now. Trust me, none of us will be remembered. The only reason why you'll be remembered is the book on the shelf, or your invention, or your music. We remember Mozart today, right? Why? Because of music, isn't it? We remember Michelangelo today. Why? Because of his paintings. They are still with us, right? We remember even to Aristotle, to Plato, all of these guys. Why? Because their materials, their books are still what? With us, isn't it? We know what their thoughts are like. We know, in fact, sometimes we know how some of these guys look. The reason why I know Aristotle thousands of years ago, and I do not know my own great-granddad. Do you see the comparison? Do you see the difference? Thousands of years ago, a man lived, and I remember, I was not related to that man by any blood or DNA. And the people that are related, that I carry their blood and their gene inside of me, I don't even know them. Why? Because of what? Products. So I put it here, I say, please, if you don't have your book here today, if your music is not here today, if your paintings are not here today, if your invention is not here today, if you have not brought answer to a question of life today, please make sure you don't die today. Obviously, we know why. Because if you do, we don't even need up to 80 years. We don't even need up to 50 years. We'll forget everything. After the service of songs, people will go home and go and eat. And that is it. I was really debating my mind whether to share this with us, but let me share. Let me try and be bold and share. It's an example. I'm sorry, but it's an example people don't always want to listen to, but let me just share. I'm a medical doctor. I studied in Ukraine, and by Ukrainian law, it's demanded that when a person dies, they have to always bring them to what we call a morbid anatomy, to a pathology laboratory, because they have to know the cause of death. So for every dead person, sorry that I hope it's convenient. I don't know, it's convenient, it's okay, okay. So for every dead person, they bring it to, and that class taught me more than so many things in life. Because twice every week I have to go to that laboratory, and we have to learn. Immediately people die from the ward, they bring them to the laboratory. You have to know the cause of death. So basically, you know what they do? Cut them open, break the head off, and take out the brain, because we have to take specimen from everybody and examine everything and all that. And you know what they do immediately after? We put nylon. I'm not joking. Sometimes you put, what do you call it, anything that can absorb some liquid, because a few hours after a man dies, the brain becomes water. Liquidate. So you have to put foam, anything at all. So when the family comes and they are taking the body away, what are they taking away? That is what they go to put in the ground. The only thing that truly matters will be the books you write, the songs you sing, the paintings you have, and what else? Your inventions, the answers you bring to the questions of life through your creativity. That will be,
the lives you touched.
The life that you have touched.
Amen.
That will be all that matters. That will be all that matters. So have we gained anything from this introduction? Yes. The great Isaac Newton, as we know him, he wasn't even married. President what do you call it, Buchanan of the United States, he was not even married. Nikola Tesla, he was not even married. Florence Nightingale, Mary Slessor. Do you know that there are people, a woman will even boldly declare that what I live for is for my what? Children. It's for my children, or it's for my husband. Yeah. My ministry is my mandate is my husband, is my. Do you see how far away from truth, how useless such a statement could be, such a mindset could be? Do you see how trivial everything will be? I don't know. Maybe we have one or two reactions from this before going. What do you think? Somebody wants to share with us? Okay, please. Please, let's share.
Yeah, the first point you gave got me thinking, took me back a lot. I believe many years ago, even as a young person,
Yes.
I've had this urge in me to change things. I was thinking a whole lot. Then the only prayer I was praying when I knew that God had put something in me, I always cry, say, God, I'm the solution, the answer to the cry of many. I was just praying like that. I didn't know what was happening.
Yes.
I started a ministry that God took away from me, because I said to God, I don't just want to follow pattern. I don't want to see the same circle I am seeing.
Yes.
I've been in a church right from my university, came out, they took me, I became a church staff for a long time, I know. But I walked away boldly, even with a lot of things church can give to you as a staff. They give you car, pay your house allowance in Abuja and a whole lot of things. When they're about to bless me, that was when I walked away. People were telling me, you don't need to go out until you get a job. I said no, because I was crying. I thought I was frustrated to the point that I wanted to even end my life, because I didn't know where I was going. While in church, I was still frustrated.
Yes.
I still didn't get direction. So until I came to South Africa and the whole thing contributed. Something happened to me last year. To answer to your question, even when I wrote that, you put Isaac Nelson Mandela. I put my own name there. That's what I just put. I was just showing my husband right now. I put my own name because I'm born for a solution. Yes. For 4 years, I would just be crying. At times in the dream, I would cry out because it's been in me.
Burden.
Yeah, burden. Not even when my mates were hungry to get married. I was not hungry to get married. They were wondering what's wrong with me. I thought I was crazy, you know, because until I got a book somebody gave to me, he said, I'm a prophet. I'm not crazy. Then that was when I now knew that I wasn't crazy in what I was doing. So but something happened to me last year. Last year I was almost gone. God, the only thing I asked God, because my mom lived for us. She was an evangelist. She moved around. Yes. We were 6, and at the verge, my father was doing well. At the verge of helping his own children, he became sick for 18 years. So this woman took up the challenge to make sure that we got to where everybody wanted to be. She lived her life for her children. At the end of the day, the children, she died of heartbreak from the same children. You understand? Yes. Children you brought that they're always taking. They don't care. They don't care. Yes. Yeah. When you train them like that, yes. She was there. She wants to give everything. She sold her wrapper. She sold her gold. She sold property. Now they couldn't give her anything. Now when her husband died, she thought, now I have my children. These children I've put myself into. They broke her heart. So I think I had that kind of heart like my mom. I carried their body. My husband would tell me, if you die today, your brothers and sisters will still live. They don't even care see what is happening in South Africa. They're not even calling you to ask. Look at what is happening. They don't care. The only time they'll call you is what they want from you. Or the one that is doing well out there will just tell me nothing. And I'll say, my sister said nothing. And I will be crying. I cry for everything. I cry for everybody. I say, God, what do I do? The only thing last year when I realized myself that even if I die today, these people will still live on. Of course. One night, it was as if I was taking my last breath. The only thing I said to God, God, give me a chance to live so I can make this history in life, this solution that I want to bring. You know, you say something, don't die until. Because I have a lot of books that I'm writing. I have so many things I want to do. I go out, I want to talk to youth. It's been my life. I said, God, even if I'm leaving, please let me help the next generation, even if I didn't enjoy my own generation.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. So that was so powerful. That is very, very instructive. A lot of people, when they don't have children, they wail and they cry and they say, oh God. A lot of people, when they don't have husband, they wail and they cry and they say, oh God. When they have not built their house, they wail and they cry, God, God, God. They've not bought their car. I need a job. But the person that is truly miserable in life is not the one without children or without husband or without cars. It's the one that is without what? Product. Yes, please. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Based on what my sister just said, I could remember sometime I was in Peterborough and in the UK, and my mom introduced me to this pastor, and then he asked me a question. He said, "What's your priority in life?" And just like my sister, I said, I need to fulfill purpose. It's burning in me. He said, you want to fulfill purpose? I said, yeah, that's my priority. Because I love writing, you know, and in dreams, people were celebrating me and now you've written books and all that. And then this pastor said, that shouldn't be your priority. He said, how old are you? Well, I'm going to be 43 next month. He said, are you married? I said, no. He said, that's your priority. He said, that's your priority. I said, Then I said, enlighten me. He said, don't you know that purpose you want to fulfill, it is God that will bring that woman. When God bring the woman, then God will connect you with the woman, because you don't know, maybe it's that woman that God will use to pave way and you'll be able to fulfill your purpose.
Jesus.
This guy messed up my theology, my head. my head. So he put in my head.
Yes.
That's why we should be very careful of what we receive. I'm very careful. You know what this man put in my head? He put in my head now, which was never there, that without a woman, I won't be able to fulfill purpose. That's all that, and I've been battling with that to get that thing out of my head. So now I've been searching.
Yes.
Looking, okay, let's be looking for a woman now. Yeah. But please, is it true though? Please.
Okay.
I need you to enlighten.
All right.
No, because he made me understand. Please, he made me understand that there's some people.
Okay.
They won't be able to. There's some men. Sorry, not some people. There's some men.
Yes.
They won't be able to fulfill purpose if they're not married. Really? He said on exceptional cases. Please, let's be open-minded about this and look into it critically.
Okay. I hope we don't turn it to marriage seminar.
Yeah, let's not be, because it's so simple. Just all you need to do is just gaze back at history and look at the number of people who fulfilled purpose who were not married. It answers the question. I know a lot of religious settings will tell you, when God created Adam, he gave Adam a purpose and brought a woman to assist Adam to do it. But even even our Lord and Savior who came to fulfill purpose, how many wives did he have? Paul said it was better not to be married than to be married, and he fulfilled purpose.
Oh, let's forget the Bible now.
Yeah, I'm talking of reality now.
So these well-known people that we know that we're mentioning names.
But you said, hold on, sorry. They are not married. But no, if you say forget Bible, it is the same Bible the pastor used to confuse your head. So let me use that same Bible to unconfuse you.
Please, let me just chip in something. Let me just chip in something, and then so we can go for. There's only one reason. There's only one reason why marriage is significant, and that is if it amplifies your purpose. That is if it amplifies your purpose. Yes. If and only if. The marriage of many people became the burial ground of their assignment in life. It becomes, that is why, like Paul the Apostle said, that a person who is married is entangled with so many things, right? So, and so many people, the only reason why people should go into marriage is if you have been able to build your self-discipline to such a high level that you can fulfill despite all of you understand, so many things pulling at you, and you are big enough that will not tear you off. It will not wear you off. It can only amplify. There is a man in history that is called John Wesley. Many of us have read the story of John Wesley. John Wesley's wife, marriage almost became, in fact, a lot of people believe that he would have done. Yeah, she became a thorn. In fact, we were told in history that this woman will intercept all the males because he was a very influential man of God. And so many people, including women, will write mails to him, and all that will write, letters in those days. And she will intercept all the letters and respond all the female people that wrote to him that I know about your affair with my husband. Please don't ever, Sometimes the secretary suddenly opened the door in an hotel where he was lodging and found the wife pulling him by his long hair around the room, So confrontational, so bold that after he has finished sermon, she will climb the podium and say it's a lie. What he's saying, I know him, those kind of things. Except a man but he was, of course, a man of really great discipline. If you know his life, early to bed, early to rise, goes on long trips if you know his life, definitely there's a man of high level of discipline. That is why he started Methodist, because everything to his life was methodical and all that. So it was that direct thoughts, helped his life a little bit. He could have been perhaps maybe greater than what he was able to do. So basically, marriage should amplify, but if it will not, it is better to be single and alone. So basically, back to our creativity class. Welcome back. So it is very, very important that no one dies except you have your creative product. Do we understand this? Extremely important. It does not matter who that person is. Except you have your books, you have your inventions, you have the solutions, you have the answers. You are the answer to the cry of a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are wailing, oh God. Imagine what the world would be today without these light bulbs. Can you imagine that? Imagine what the world would be today without electricity from Michael Faraday. Imagine what life would be. But there were some people who brought answer to a question of life, and that is the reason why we remember them today. So the only reason why you'll be remembered years from now will not be the children you have, will not be the cars you have, will not be the houses you have built, will not be your job or whatever. Rather, it will be what? What question of life have you brought a solution to? Someone said to live in the heart you left behind is not to die. If you do not find a way to live in the heart that you left behind, you are dead, even if you are alive, even if you are still breathing. So can we go forward now? Right? We are still on page 1. God help us today. Please, control. So why should you be creative? Of course, we already said it. Unless you are creative, you will never be significant. We understand that. Do we all agree to this? That significance only comes through your creativity. Creativity is the tool with which you provide answer to questions, isn't it? With which you help solve the problem of humanity, all right? So the art of creativity is the art of thinking. So you should be creative, because whoever is not creative is actually not what? Is actually not thinking. Dogs don't write books. No. Right? Chickens, they don't write books. Right? So why should we be like dogs and chickens? They don't compose music. They don't make product. They don't solve problems. When a dog wakes up in the morning, what is his priority? Food, right? He doesn't bother about clothing. If he could bother about clothing, perhaps food and what? And shelter. Isn't it? Do you know that 99% of the world today, when they wake up, what is their priority? Food and what? And shelter. How is that different from a dog life? Immediately, job. What is the essence of the job? Just rent, shelter, and food. At the end of the month, rent. I'm okay. Thank God for January. Thank God for June. Who wakes up in the morning and says, I'm bothered about the problem of this problem of life. I want to solve it. You want to say something? All right. Do we get it? That should be the priority. That every day when we wake up, what should be the priority? I want to what? There's a project I'm working on. There's a research. There's something that drives me to go study, to go research, to go find out, to go implement, to go experiment, to go think, to do something, to meditate. That should be. Every day when Jesus Christ woke up, what was his priority? The souls of men, isn't it? Yeah. Went everywhere, doing good, helping humanity, right? And everything he did was, okay, which day did he wake up and he says, Peter, how about the fish we caught? How are we selling that? Bro, how are we selling that? How much do we need? And all that. 10%. So whoever focuses your attention, like that man on the, like DSA said, the lesser, things of lesser value is actually your worst enemy. Because that is the man that does not want you to be remembered. Because that is the man that does not want you to be fulfilled. That is the reason why a lot of people at their end, when they're about to die, they just, a man like Alexander the Great, who at the age of 28, he had conquered the world. By the time he was 30, he was leader of the modern world. The whole continent as we have them today was the discovery of the man Alexander the Great. Young man of 30 was, at the age of 32 when he was to die, he said, I conquered everything. I conquered the world. He said, I didn't conquer myself. The priority of life. Right? How are we going to bring solution to a question of life? What question of life are you going to remember? The first thing I said, sometimes you live your entire life trying to provide what? Solution to what? One question. Remember we said, we immediately mentioned Nelson Mandela, we remember what? Apartheid. When it's, what is it that immediately we mention your name, what is it that we are going to remember you for? I don't know if you get it. That immediately your name is almost synonymous to that thing. It strikes a chord every time we mention it. It's like, synonyms. Are we coming? Are we building something? Are we getting an understanding? So the whole essence of this seminar is that everyone, immediately we finish from here, you are provoked. A seminar like this should take sleep off your eyes very quickly.
Yeah.
Should take food, food becomes like just to survive, so that we just don't. There's a story of a man, DSA always tell us again and again, the story of the man called George Washington Carver. A man who, through one product, provided over more than 300 inventions from peanuts, from just one product, and he delivered his entire country, in fact, his entire continent of Europe, because it was in America, but then later he was invited to Europe also to help. Delivered his entire country from economic hardship just with one product of peanut. And we are told that every day when he wakes up, he locks himself, goes into, sometimes on Monday, goes into his laboratory and begins to work and develop. And then usually on Fridays, when his employees, they've not seen him the whole week, they're wondering what is going on. This man has been indoors, perhaps he's already dead. So they break into the door and say, man, it's Friday. What are you going to do? It's like, I just came in here this morning. They say, no, today is Friday. You've been here since Monday. A man so dedicated to his work with such passion. What is going to be your obsession? What is going to be your desire? What is it that will be going to consume you? That's marriage, cars, houses, children. All of those things become secondary of lesser value. There's something I learned very quickly. Let me just share with us. That, because this was teaching us this, that everything is about perspective, right? It's about perspective. Remember that if you are in a airplane, right, and you are looking at houses, how would they look like?
Small.
Small, right? Very, very tiny, right? Is that the actual size of those buildings or not? It's just because of where you are what? Where you are. Your positioning, right? Do you know that there's a positioning of life that you are, and all those things will just be like dust? So somebody is celebrating. So there is a dimension that DSA is looking, perspective that is looking from, that somebody is celebrating 50,000, 100,000 seater, and all those things look like what? Paul the Apostle said, I count all of these things as what? As dung. They are nothing. We must invest our life in that which truly matters. The heart of thinking is the heart of creativity. If a man is not creative, if a man is not actually having his product, the only conclusion we can come to is that what? He's not thinking. He's not a thinking man. He's a man that is living like a cat and a fish or something. Right. Creativity is your inherent nature. Please let us not forget this point. Every one of us was born to be creative. There is a creativity in every human being. No matter who you are or how you were born, there is something that you can do. Sometimes, the reason why, we'll go to why people are not creative very shortly. The reason why people sometimes are not creative is because they find themselves in the wrong environment. It's just like a fish that is on ground. How creative can it be? A dog that is in water, how creative can it be? But if you want to see the creativity that is in a fish, put in what? In water, yeah? You see the dynamism, isn't it? Right? If you want to see how creative a dog can be, put it on ground, isn't it? Right? And see how creative it can be. So sometimes when we find ourselves in the wrong places, but that does not, the fact that a fish is on ground, does it cancel out the creativity that is in him? So all that we just need to do is to do what? Put it where it's supposed to be. What is killing many of us sometimes is just the environment, Find ourselves in the wrong church, the wrong teachings, and all those things, All you are just living for is for the next Sunday, the next convention, the next salary, the next job. Imagine the genius that is inside of you. Imagine what God has placed there. Imagine what you can do. Can you imagine a man like Henry Ford, the man who declared that, look, I'm going to put an engine, a car engine, in every family in the world. One man said that. He declared. He said, I'm going to place a car in every family in the world. Can you imagine Henry Ford going from place to place and begging for a job and say, please, I need a job. Give me a job. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Sometimes a man that is created to be so creative, to be this answer to the problem of mankind, is going from place to place, begging for what? Job, peanut, just help me. Somebody that has a whole clothing line inside of him or her, that can design clothes for the world, is just living for what? Let me see what Zara brought out today. Let me see what, which other one? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because in every one of us is a genius, is a creative genius. Please note that very carefully. For some of us, is the problem of children. For some of us, is the problem of what? Education. For some of us, is whatever thing that it is, you know it inside. You, from the day you were born till the day you die, this thing will never, the only thing you can do is ignore that call. But it will never leave you because it will always be there. It's never going to depart from you. It's always going to call on you. Every time you say you just cannot go by, and it will always beat on your heart. When you are 10, it was there. When you are 20, it was there. When you cross 40, that thing is still beating on your heart. Now you are 40, look, consider. When you are 70, it will always be there. Now you are 70, consider this thing. When you are 90, it will also, what? It will always be there. Except you respond to that thing, it will always beat on your heart. Do we get it? Can we go on, right? All right. So you were created for creative purposes. Of course, I said creativity allows you to dominate the earth, right? With your products, you can saturate the earth. You know, virtually in every home today, you have an iPad, isn't it? That is one man. Steve Jobs distributed himself virtually in every family of the world. Do you know that it is possible for us in every home to have your books? Do you know that it is possible to have your music in every home in the world? Do you know that it is possible to have your games, to have whatever invention? Virtually in every home of the world, you have what? Lights, isn't it? That is one man. Do you get? He's saturated the earth. He spread himself. And that is the kind of vision that we must have in this HMT. That it is possible for me to do what? There must be a part of crease in every what? Family of the earth. I can place myself in all of these places, in every continent. That is what your creativity can do. Do we believe it?
Yeah.
Are we going to work on it?
Yes.
Are we going to pay the price for it?
Yes.
The price of such a thing. Remember I said that in every generation, destiny calls on a few people. And it is only a few people who will respond to it and say, yes, I answer to this call. I dedicate myself. I soak myself in it. Whatsoever price is going to take, I'm going to pay the price for it. But I'm never going to die a nameless person. I must leave my legacy in the sand of time. In my country, they always say that some people are like they say they are like a snake that glides upon the rock and never made a mark. You know, when a snake glides on a rock, how do you know that the snake was there? Huh? 6 minimum? Okay. So, right, saturate yourself. Do we get this point? Yeah. Okay, you were created for creative purposes. You are being irresponsible every time that you are not creative. God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden to do what? To tend, isn't it? When it was time to name the animals, was it God that named the animals for it? It was Adam, right? So when he was naming all the names that we have today and all that, it was coming from just what? One man. So he had to, because it was inside of him, so he had to be creative. Isn't it? He had to be creative. Now, imagine that he was waiting on God and was saying, God, come and name the animals by yourself. God said, go and name the animal. He said, God, come and name it by yourself. That is irresponsibility, right? So we are being irresponsible whenever you are not creative. Each day that you wake up and you are not creating something, that day you were being irresponsible. Each day that you are not creating, that day you are being what? Irresponsible. Each day that you are not creating, that something is not coming forth from you, you are not being responsible. Please, control. I'm not so sure we'll be able to do everything, but we'll definitely make a point today. So, remember this point. I said you are permitted to suffer lack, to be poor, to be sick, until you become creative. God made the Garden of Eden, yeah? He placed trees, right? and everything. And perhaps Adam will always say, oh, Adam will always say, I don't have chair to sit. I have back pain. I have, I don't have a place to lay my head. I don't have bed and all that. How long will you continue to suffer like that? Huh? He will continue to suffer like that until it came into his mind that, look, there is a chair in this what? In the tree, and there is a bed for me in there. So until he became creative, his pain and lack continued. Am I making a point? Right. So a man is permitted to continue to suffer. He will continue to suffer until he becomes creative. Every lack, every problem in the world is a signal of what? Of creativity. That there is a creativity lacking somewhere. That something special can be bettered through creativity. Do we get it? Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, that the purpose of life is not to be happy. This is where a lot of people miss it, right? It was Aristotle who said the purpose of life to be happy is to be happy. But Ralph Waldo Emerson said no. The purpose of life is not to be happy. He said the purpose of life is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and you lived well. That is the purpose of life. We are not living to pursue happiness, but rather to be creative, right? You were not born to just consume other people's products, other people's bread, to work in other people's jobs, read other people's books, use other people's inventions without betting your own products. So the fact that you are consuming other people's products means that you have to do what? Give us your own. It is not fair if you are using up other people's things and you are not giving us your own. And the bedrock of all civilization is what? Is creativity. What bets a civilization? What can transform a continent like Africa is our creative product, right? We won't be able to look at this video. It's a video actually, but we won't be able to look at it. You know, in there I put some of the names of the greatest inventors that ever lived. And the reason why we remember all of them, there will be none of them that will be remembered because they had 5 children or 10 children or I don't know, or married. Or there's nobody that made this list because he was married or because, huh? It's like almost 10 minutes, so that's the approximate. We have 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Oh, okay, thank you. So, should we say, should we not say? Please, let's play a few minutes of the video. This is a video. Yeah. Probably it's going to take you to the link. Oh, I need to give you before? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no problem. Maybe I could send the link to us and then it could be sent to our emails. So, but let's continue. Let's just continue. So, these are the greatest inventors of all time. Some of the best names, you know, like Leonardo da Vinci and the rest of them. And some of these people, you know, it's not just about invention, because invention is diverse. You get everything, every day, you are being creative. Every day, you can do your own thing. You can give us that which has not been done before. And it does not take much. I hope we'll be able to get that so I can be able to share some of the tricks with us, or now we can bet our own product. Why are people not creative? The number one reason why people are not creative is the belief system. Sometimes I have to work with people writing their books and things like that. And you know the greatest problem I ever had with people is trying to convince them that they have even a book inside of them that they can write, that you have authority enough to write. People will be like, no, it's only smart people who write. Who am I? I don't. The truth of the matter is, in every one of us today, there are books. There are things that you have to teach the world. I don't know if you understand. There's nothing that makes an author other than a pen and a paper. That's all that you need to be an author. Do we get it? It's not some big face or some big experience somewhere or some. It's the fact that you have an experience, no matter what it is, in an area of life, a solution. You have an idea. You know, you have a pain in an area of life. Whatever thing it is, everything can be converted into your invention. So first of all, you must correct the wrong belief that I'm not creative, I don't like maths, I'm not inventive, I don't like history, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, that is going to be the greatest, this is the greatest limiting factor for creativity, the belief. I don't know if we got this. Do we get this? Yeah? So are we going to correct our belief or not? Each of us must be able to correct the belief that you are creative, that you can do something, that you can bet something, that there is music in you if you have that creative wonder in you, that there are books in you if you have the writing ability in you, that if you're a speaker, there are speeches. A man in 1746 or so, or 17, of course, in that century, Jonathan Edwards, he gave a message, he preached a sermon. Almost 300 years to today, they are still listening to that message. That message is still affecting the world. A man in 1963, by name, what is his name, Martin Luther King, gave a speech, right? Till today, that speech is still affecting the world, isn't it? That there is a speech inside of you that several centuries from now, messages, sermons, books inside of you, that they will still be listening to several centuries from now. Do you agree with this? Because it's the greatest. If you are able to do this, if you are able to get this, honestly, it's over. So there must be that day when you establish yourself and you say, yes, I am what? I'm also capable. That me also can do it. If anybody has been able to do it, then I also can also do what? Can do it. That is, DSA beats this again and again into our heads. If it has ever been done by anybody in the world, you also can do it. If you can learn how that person was able to do, you also can do it. If you can learn how people started their own businesses, their own inventions, their own companies, you also can do it. Do we get this? All right. So that is one of the greatest problems. In fact, it's the greatest problem of creativity, because immediately your brain says you cannot, everything shuts down. But immediately your brain says you can, you begin to see possibilities in everything around you. This becomes creativity. This becomes source of creativity. Everything becomes source of creativity for you because your mind has been opened up. Do we get it? So the fear of failure is another reason why people are not creative. A lot of people just don't want to fail. What if I try and it doesn't work? I work with people, and you want to write your best-selling book with the first book, is never possible. Forget it. It's never possible. An average person is going to write like 15 books before you get one that people will even consider readable. And by the time you write 50, maybe they will consider one a bestseller. But the thing is, you have to keep doing what? Keep doing it. You know how many music Beethoven composed before one became... You want to know how many music Anders composed before he got the Hallelujah chorus? Right? A lot. Mozart, the rest of them like that. You have to keep what? Keep doing it. Then when one has become a seller, a bestseller, a hit, you know what people will do? They will now start ordering. Where have you been all the years? We have been looking for you. A lot of people say to DSA now, where have you been over these years? And what does DSA say to them? Where have you also been? I've been here over the years, doing it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Do we get it? This is a big problem. Because if you are not ready to try again and 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 again, you will never be a master. What makes a master is failure upon failure upon failure upon failure upon failure. Then after you have made thousands of failure, perhaps, they say you're a master. So it's probably like a master in failure, right? So it's probably like that. But what actually makes you a master is that you have multiple trials again and again. How many times did Thomas Edison try the light bulb before he succeeded?
29.
Right? And every time he said, no, I just discovered how it can never be done. I just discovered a new way it can never be done. But you have to keep doing what? Doing it. Keep designing. Keep writing. Right? Keep writing. Let me tell you a little bit of my story about all of this writing and all that. I used to write right from childhood, to be honest. But a lot of my manuscript ended up in the dustbin because I'll just read it and I'll be like, did I write this? I'm so dumb. And then I'll just fold it and and so a lot of my manuscript just ended up like that no, nobody's ever going to read this. And then suddenly, when I came on Facebook and I began to write my articles, and people are like, I love what you wrote. This is so amazing. Really? Okay, let me show you something else that I've written. And then show them, oh, this is so amazing. Ooh. If I had known all those years of creativity, I wouldn't have thrown them away. Are we getting something? Yeah. Everything is important. Each thing you design, each painting, each article, each book, each song, no matter how it sounds, is always very, very what? Important. There was no master that was ever accepted at the first trial. Every master had to go through moments of, how do you call it when somebody is not known? Rejection, and, when you're in the dark, for a long time. People have to go through that. You have to suffer that. It's not really a suffering. It's just, that patience of walking in the dark, Do we understand this? Again and 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 again, and eventually. So this is one reason why a lot of people are not successful, fear of failure. Also, wrong environment. This is extremely important. You will never ever be creative when you are in the wrong environment. If you are struggling with the wrong job and all of that, and after you have gone home after 9 to 5, all you just do is what? Eat and sleep. And that is that you are waiting for the next day. You will never ever be creative like that. If you have to do a job now, the best you can do is when you come back, then you have the moment of your destiny. And then you have to walk through the night to produce your own what? Work on your own product. That is the only way you will ever be delivered from life of servitude, So I come back and I sit down and I have to study and I have to work and I have to, that is the price to pay for greatness. So you can do it, but you also have to put in the work. You have to put in the environment. You have to create that your own environment to do it. Then comfort, of course, is another reason why people are not creative. Some people are not creative because they don't want to challenge the status quo. If I'm currently preparing for my PhD, I'm going to start my PhD soon, and one of the things they want you to do with PhD in your thesis, they want you to challenge the dogma. They want you to challenge the masters, the people that have been out there. So they will tell you, write a literature review, write what some of the experts in the field have said about this topic, and challenge them. Get into a professional debate and challenge them, basically. I don't know if you understand. So that is you ready to challenge the status quo. That is how you can do anything significant. What they've said, it had always been like this. When I met DSA for the first time, it was just uprooting of the foundations I thought I had laid in my in my life. Just coming directly. It was just challenging virtually all of those things. Because he is a man that has trained himself to be ready to challenge the status quo with the power of the truth, wherever it is necessary. But many of us, we don't want to be wrong. We just want to be a good boy, a good lady, and I'm just good, and, I don't want to be in the bad light for anybody, and, they are the fathers, they are the professionals, they are the experts, they are the men of God. I have to finish now? Okay. So, and that is it. Be ready to challenge the status quo. Wow. So many things to sister ball. We can't really finish them. The lack of skill, lack of will. Muhammad Ali said that champions are not made in the gym. So champions are made from something they have inside of them. It could be a desire, a dream, or a vision. He said champions have to have the last minute stamina. He said champions, they have to be fast. They have to be faster than the rest. He said champions have to have a will and a skill. He said, but the will must always be greater than the skill. Your will must always be greater than your skill. Your will to invent, your will to write, your will to create must always what? Be greater than the skill that you have. You must always have the will, no matter what it is. I am going to do it. Once you come to that area of life where you are able to say, no matter what, I am going to, then you are going to create. So the will must always be greater than the skill. So I will also paraphrase that and say, creative people are not made in laboratories and in the libraries, really. Creative people are made from the dream, the desire, and the vision they have inside of them. Creative people have to have knowledge. Creative people have to be smart. But you know what? Creative people have to have, of course, will and skill. But creative people's will must always be greater than what? Than their skill. Your will must always be greater than your skill. When you start little, don't fail to appreciate your little beginnings. Appreciate your little beginnings. The little things you do. If this is a Facebook broadcast you are going to start with, and then you have 10 views, and yeah, you have 15 views. I don't know how many views you started with, but I don't think it's all the views that you have now. How many views? Maybe 20. 20 views and all those things, because people don't want to start small. Everybody wants to start with 20-something thousand views. Impossible. That will never be done. Except to set yourself ablaze and you put it on Facebook, then people can log on and start watching. So many things we have to do, write and talk about. I may not be able to reach all of them. If you have to be creative, I say have the right belief. Meditation, I have to mention this, and I'll close on this. Your meditation is very, very important. The Adelaja has told us again and again, the secret of his life is his ability to cut away 1 week in every month, lock himself away, and just be by himself. The meditation. I wrote in bracket, I said the myth about prayer. Most people think when they go to pray, it's all about shouting and screaming and screaming and screaming. No. Meditation is you going somewhere to focus on one thought for as long as possible, one problem. How is it that can be? You are trying to solve a problem. That is what prayer is about. You meditating again and again. How is it that I can solve this? That is what true prayer is. That was what Jesus Christ meant by prayer. When he went to the mountains, he meditated enough on the values and the principles of life. So when he came out, he could say, before Abraham, I was. You know what that meant? Because I have a thought that is greater than that of Abraham. My thought is deeper. Do you understand? Moses said this, but I say this. Why? Because it's coming from the place of meditation. Unless you are a person of meditation, you will write books that will never be read.
That's right.
You will compose music, nobody is going to hear them. You will write articles and nobody is going to read them. But your meditation will make your books worthwhile. DSS says, I want to write books 200 years after I'm gone, that these books will still be speaking. I want to do everything so good that years after I'm gone, these things, they will still continue to be. Very, very true. A man said, Martin Luther King also, he said it. He said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he must sweep the street so well as Michelangelo painted. He must sweep so well as Beethoven composed music and as Shakespeare wrote poetry. He said that you must sweep the street so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job so well. That's the man also said. He said, if you can't be a pine on the hill, he said, be a scrub in the valley. He said, but be the best scrub by the side of the hill. He says, be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you cannot be an highway, be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. He says, be the best of whatever that you are. It is not by size that we win or lose. If you can't be a Sunday Adelaja, be who you are, but be the best of who you are. I don't know if you understand. Yeah. If you are going to bake the bread so well that whoever tastes that bread is going to say that in fact, the living, the dead, and the unborn will be able to say, never has bread been baked. So I hope we gain something today. Yeah? God help us. Thank you.
Okay, let's put our hands together once again. I thank Dr. Success. Woo! Okay. Sorry, we have to. I have to cut the time because we are working with time. We're going to continue with DSA at 7 p.m. Ukraine time. So we have a few minutes to go to break, to take coffee, air, and we will be back at 7 p.m. sharp. So thank you for being with us, our friends on Facebook, and see you 7 p.m. Woo!